recommend, I believe we had an email address last time.
No, we used our own, and we needed.
No, I mean, for like the facilitator. Mr. Shelby, do you remember?
What?
If we
email
did just like
Oh, you mean
charter at Tampa, like something like that.
No,
for what purpose?
Look on November 6th.
Coordinate with TNI marketing. Yes, but
A webpage for submission.
yeah.
Yeah, because one of the thoughts was, it depends. Are you talking about internal communication between the facilitator and this board, or the facilitator and the members of the commission, or the
Yes.
public?
Well, both
We could do
actually.
both, because Councilman Chair Clendenin had been talking with Ms. Kopesky and myself and his legislative aide in terms of possibilities. We could talk about that at the special call workshop. One of the things is to do it through web forms.
Yeah.
And have that kind of communication.
Well, my only concern, and this is, I mean, we had the issue before, but I don't remember getting any personal email at the time, but I'm concerned about the personal email of maybe the charter review members, and someone knows them and sends them an email about what they think, and then that person has to be responsible for moving that to the public. And so I'm just curious, in your experience with these types of commissions, what do you recommend we do to make sure that people stay and follow the sunshine laws?
It's interesting, when I conveyed, I have some questions. I've only been involved for about a week, but I knew the public input was part of the process, and that was a question of mine. How do we incorporate that fairly and transparently and make sure those concerns are voiced, right? Because they kind of come in neutral in a sense, and then we've got our appointees working on the commission. But I think we just have to figure out a process and make sure that we know how we get that, how we vet it, what level of attention and rigor we place, evaluating that and embedding it into what we're doing. So, I still have some questions around how that works, but whatever we do needs to be seamless and clear and responsive, I think, because, we owe to the public who's interested in this to make sure we do just that.
Yes, and that is one thing that we have a lot more, as I was saying this morning, we just have a lot more interaction, which is wonderful, but how do we make sure that those folks stay in the sunshine? So I know you have that for November 6th, but I really believe that
We'll have our
I need
workshop
that
before
question answered
We'll have
during the workshop.
The workshop, yes.
Yeah, coming up with maybe some ideas with TNI or something, I really, that's going to be like number one on my list.
Mr. Shelby, will you remind me to work with TNI on that before the November 4th workshop?
Before the workshop.
But also, if we hire him as a facilitator, he needs to be involved as well, because his experience will dictate a lot of what we're able to do there. But again, otherwise, it looks great. Really like your resume. I just maybe those are just random questions, but I appreciate your attempting to answer.
Sure, of course.
Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, to help meet the public records law, I recommend that we give them city accounts or some kind of account that we can.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because we had to maintain our own, and it opens up your personal. Now that we've had lawsuits on all that, I think we should give them the chance to do that. If somebody emails them on their personal email, they can just forward it to that email. That way, the city is managing it. The biggest thing with me with the facilitation is no bias. I've done thousands of facilitation. Also, you have to make sure. Hopefully, you'll go in with no agenda, nobody's agenda, and no agenda, and then if there's something to refer back to, it'll be the council instructions that we set on November 5th. There were times where with the facilitator we had where I would make a statement and say, well, we're supposed to be looking at this, and the facilitator would argue with me, and I'd go back and read the document that the city council gave us, and then the person would still argue with me, and then the city attorney came running down and started arguing with us also. And that's another thing we fixed through the charter, is that this has its own independent attorney. And I don't think this city attorney would run downstairs and intervene, but it was very disruptive, and it was very biased that the former city attorney did that. And Marty was the one sitting in as the attorney for the committee at the time. But we need to make
actually, Council, I was there. Actually, let me not interrupt. But my role in that format was really to assist the board in sunshine and public meetings law, public records law, but also to observe and to represent council as well at those meetings.
Yeah.
But actually, the city attorney at that time, in 2017, 2018, ended up drafting the material and presenting it back to the committee.
Yeah, so there was a lot of bias that was put in it by the city attorney at the time and then by the consultant. And then the other thing was in the voting structure, which put bias toward the mayor. I mean, one of the things I tried to get done in 2016 was to set term limits for city council and the mayor. And there was intense fighting from the city attorney on the term limits for the mayor, and now everybody knows why. But we need to make sure there's no bias in there. The other thing is that the process, and we'll talk about this more on the 5th, but the process we were given is there was like a standard charter, and we went through page by page, paragraph by paragraph, comparing that to our charter to see if anything needed to be done. And this time we need to make sure we don't waste their time doing that. We're not going through line by line. We're just looking at try to get the big buckets. We're not trying to do wholesale change, just make sure there's nothing. And then lastly, on the financial disclosure, this is not a committee that's choosing a vendor or something. This is a committee that's weighing in on the kind of law of the land for the city. And so and I think if we require financial disclosure for this particular committee, it will drastically limit the people that will get.
Well, that came from me because of implications with the charter. I felt that it was for transparency to know if somebody, the reason I put that in, again, this is something we can hold this conversation to the workshop. But just
I thought you wanted to talk about that today. That's why.
Yeah, but no, I just this was just presented just so that you kind of, and then you guys you're not walking in cold to the workshop, so you can bring this stuff to the workshop.
I'm
But
getting
that was
them to
because-
getting them to sign affidavits that they don't have a conflict or that they won't have a conflict in the future. I'm totally in favor of all that. The financial
knowing
disclosure.
where their money is and who's paying them is always a good thing to know. So what I'd like to, what I think one is, would you like to add anything to the discussion?
I mean, to your points about bias, that's wouldn't be my role, right? I think I have a sense for what success is. My job is to get you there and get them there, and do it efficiently, expeditiously, and so that everyone feels heard. I've run a lot of different sessions, and it's always personalities, no matter what. And I think
There's
the key
no
is
personalities here.
no. And it's really getting to know that team, building some trust up front, in me, of course, as a facilitator, but amongst the group, because there's a shared job to be done. And I think we need to get there with that. And some of the other things you mentioned are really around how you want to structure it and vet your candidates. But no, bias doesn't really factor in. And I think and then I think the other thing is, these meetings are made or broken before we walk in the door. It's all about prep, thinking about an approach that makes sense, that allows for momentum. These are longer sessions. We have to keep the energy levels high and keep people engaged. So all of that would be part of my approach.
So what I'd like to see is a motion to allow me to negotiate the contract agreement with the facilitator. Okay, we have a motion for Councilwoman Hurtak, a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Secondly, we have to talk about the attorney position. Thank you. You can sit down and
Sure.
be tortured by listening to us, or
I'm
or
gonna
be
stick
available
around.
until we're finished with this item. Maybe it'd be nice
Yeah,
if you're
absolutely.
available.
Thank you.
We need to talk about the attorney position. Mr. Shelby, would you discuss options for getting an attorney?
Well, I'm going to have to work with you, Mr. Chairman. I've made some inquiries with people who might know people. Obviously, what is important here is the fact that it is an independent attorney that's not affiliated with the city of Tampa. However, just to let you know, and Ms. Zellman did say that, within the firms that the city attorney works with, there may be attorneys who are very well suited to this. And the question is whether the city council would even entertain that possibility, and that's something we can discuss at the workshop, because that would be able to perhaps shortcut being able to bring somebody on board. And obviously, it would have to be somebody who's known to city council in some form of fashion or background, and make the determination. What I'm learning is that you would probably want somebody on site presently at every meeting, or do you want them remotely, or do you only
I think
want?
on-site is important.
Okay, and so what that means is
Local.
relatively local.
So we're not
Somebody would
paying
not
tra-
have to
we're not paying
travel in
travel.
from, let's say, I know somebody who's probably very well suited, who's in Mount Dora, and I don't think that would be very helpful. I would ask council, between now and the workshop, that you do take a look at, and you probably have before, the chair has made some suggested structures, so, and even within the timeline, there are certain suggestions, like, for instance, I know that Council Member Carlson has mentioned this, to require that a simple majority of membership is required to take action, and the chair put that in there. And with regard to financial disclosure, just please be advised that what you fill out as a city council member is the full disclosure form, and there is a Form 1, which is a much more simple disclosure, very abbreviated. So that's an option as well. But if you take a look at what is in here, you can either agree or disagree, but at least you'll have a basis to be able to have a discussion. Because what I'm looking for, council, is on November 20th to present you with a draft resolution based on the discussion and directions that you give to me to be able to come back to actually implement this in writing by resolution on December 4th. Concurrent with that opportunity, you'll be getting your applicants to be able to turn in their applications so that they can be vetted and be able to be put into a resolution to be not only appointed on December 4th, but also have the adoption of the resolution establishing the Charter Reviews Advisory Commission and selecting the facilitator and attorney. So it is a compressed timeline, but I will work with the chair and his office to be able to implement this.
Councilwoman Hurtak, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I had a quick question for you, Mr. Shelby. Even if we have an outside attorney, would we still have someone like yourself be there to talk about actual, like, from the cities?
Representing council's
Yeah.
interest?
Yeah,
I fully intend.
Okay,
I wouldn't miss this for the world.
See, and that's what I just wanted to make sure, because yes, it's great to have an attorney who's there who can help with this, but there's a lot to be said for someone who understands.
And I would not be surprised if Ms. Zellman's office takes serious interest in this as well and has somebody present, I would think.
The more the merrier.
I'm sure council would invite that.
I kind of envisioned, Councilman Carlson, because I know this is a big issue for you. Do you have, maybe you had recommendations for attorneys?
No, but I think, I think that that we need to make sure that the attorney that's hired is not from a firm that's heavily dependent on the city. I know the city hired like 30 different firms to conflict them out, but it needs to be not one that is dependent on it, because to me, the time for the city attorney to weigh in is when the recommendations are presented to city council, not during. The city attorney should not bias the process of it. And the reason why I think that is because a lot of my recommendations are going to be around providing balance to the city attorney's office. And this has nothing to do with Ms. Zellman, but seeing the funny business from a few years ago that happened, we need to make sure we rein that in. But also, I've spoken to attorneys, spoke to former bar presidents, I've spoken to judges, and I've explained to them the inherent conflict of interest that the charter sets up for the city attorney. If you're representing the mayor, the city council, the department heads and committee members, and there's a conflict between two of them, you should recuse yourself and get outside counsel. That's the bar rules. The problem is that the bar is Florida bar is somewhat silent as to how city attorneys should manage themselves. And so it's not like there's major case law around this. What we need to do is set a precedent that makes the city attorney's office follow the same rules that other attorneys would. And the content of that is what we'll discuss on November 5th. But we need to make certain that I don't think Andrew, as I said, I don't think Andrew would do this, but we need to make certain that Andrew is not running down here saying, well, you're trying to change the strong mayor form of government and biasing the process, which I don't think would happen.
We may.
Anyway. That's what happened the last time.
We might.
The city attorney. No, the city attorney came down and
We may declare the city council chair mayor.
the former city
Everything's on the table.
The former city attorney came down and threatened us and said,
Yeah.
you can't do this. Well,
Yeah.
he wasn't entitled to do it. And it wasn't based on law, it was based on policy.
Well, just to right set this, I mean, we haven't determined what the role, one of the roles of this attorney is going to be is transferring the language agreed to by the committee into legislative language.
Yes.
So that's going to be one of the major roles. What their participation is at any individual, they may not even participate in every single meeting. They may not be needed in every single meeting. So I mean, I think that's one of the things we'll discuss. Please think about that, especially those two of you that have participated in this process, to bring to that November 4th meeting of what you would see an attorney's role in this process from the kickoff to the end, knowing that we have to get this stuff translated into legislative language. In deference to our city attorney, councilwoman.
Also,
A past member of the.
Also a past member, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just, I don't mean to be argumentative, but I just want to say.
Come on, let's go. Come on, bring it on.
When
Start with your name first.
When Gina became city attorney, we discovered.
Start with your name first.
I'm sorry, Andrea Zellman, city attorney. When Gina Grimes became city attorney in 2019, we discovered that the legal department was using outside attorneys that had expired contracts, that had no contracts. The office tended to use the same attorneys over and over again. So she issued the RFQ, which isn't required. You don't need to go through the procurement process to hire legal professionals at the city. She did that in an attempt to do two things. One was to broaden the people that the city was hiring. And so, like, we specifically sent not advertisements, but information about the RFQ to minority law firms and this and that to try to kind of widen the scope. The other thing that doing it the way she did it, and this was something we copied from Hillsborough County, was once we had received a bunch of law firms that wanted to do work for the city, we created a standard form resolution that where council was approving all of them at that time and approving the standard contract we would enter with them at that time. So then when we get sued or we need to hire an outside counsel for an appeal or whatever, we could quickly just engage them without having to draft up a contract, bring it to council, get it on the agenda, get it approved. But it did not conflict anyone out until they're actually engaged in a particular case. That's the point at which we look at conflict. So I just want to make sure that by doing that, we didn't do it to conflict anyone out. And to Marty's point, if you want to look at the law firms that we already have approved agreements with, again, haven't engaged them necessarily, that would save you time because you'd skip that step of him having to negotiate a contract with them, get it on a council agenda, get it approved. But if you want to hire someone that isn't one of the ones we've already, that's fine with me. I'm just reiterating what Marty was saying, which is you would save some time if you use the ones from our list.
Councilman Carlson.
I'm not opposed to using one that's on the list as long as they're not getting a major chunk of business from the city, because somebody who's getting several $100,000 a year from the city may be less inclined to be objective. And
So-
I know under bar rules, you're supposed to do that.
So can I appoint
Well,
you?
someone getting a
Can I
lot of
appoint you?
money can't, we have a cap. So by definition, the ones that are already doing $100,000 to $200,000 worth of work for the city probably wouldn't be able to take this on because this would then bust the cap.
So can
exceed
we,
the cap.
I would be willing to appoint Councilman Carlson as the chair of our attorneys recruitment search
I don't think we're
committee.
allowed to do that.
Well, if you do, then he'd be subject to the Sunshine Law. So why don't, if you like, I am happy to work with any member of council if you have any suggestions. And Mr. Chairman, I'm sure you would suggest that I brief council members as to our progress.
Yes, sir. So Mr. Shelby, I appoint you as the head of our attorney search
Thank
committee.
you. I should point out, by the way, I'm not familiar very much with the list, but I will tell you that within this city, working for firms, there are a great many good lawyers who have local government experience.
A great many good lawyers.
A good many great lawyers.
Great
Okay.
lawyers. Spoken like a lawyer.
Well, and if you have any suggestions for me individually, please do talk with me about it.
We want great lawyers that are cheap.
Well,
Do you mean inexpensive
no,
or cheap?
it's that three thing that you can have two,
No.
but you can't have the third. No, we want
Okay.
good, yeah.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
So I have a question about how this is going to be structured. Is this going to be, this will be structured like a workshop so that the public will be able to
Yes.
speak on each item? Because the public's going to want to know that, you know this. So, so I want to make sure that as we set this up, that there are common sense breaks for the public to comment, since this is like a brand new thing. So I wouldn't want everyone to comment up front, because we're going to learn about a bunch of stuff, and we'll want people to weigh in.
My suggestion, forgive me, but you're limited to 3 hours. And at the end of those 3 hours, I need to have direction from council on
That's
how
true.
to get a resolution. This is not for if the public can type letters, the public can pick up the
Okay.
phone, they could call individual council members. You have, people in
So-
your communities.
okay.
But for us to break this down as a regular workshop, just a reminder, this will be downstairs in the mascot room. It is a public meeting, it will be noticed, it will be recorded, but really, frankly, if any of this timeline gets screwed up, I don't want us to be in the position we were the last time.
Okay, well,
So,
I'm just saying
why
that
don't we, people who are listening now,
a
people,
space for
Peop-
public comment,
What?
maybe at the end?
Oh, by the way,
Before we make-
one last thing about public comment. Because there's talk about here about public comment, about how you're going to conduct, how the commission is going to conduct public comment. That's a very important discussion as well. But it was brought to my attention that there's always an opportunity to come to city council and tell city council as a whole something during public comment at every regular meeting. So if there's any concerns that people have, they have the opportunity to bring it to city council and share.
and we all have an appointee that we can share that with.
And the only concern that I have, and I'll share this, council, and forgive me for doing this, but I just want you to know that the concern that I have with regard to the process is a great deal of time was spent. You know something? I'd rather just say this offline instead.
Okay, very good.
Discretion has gotten the better of me.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, we knew this in our charter review commission, but the public and the administration, everyone needs to know that whatever they recommend, it's got to go before council. The council is the only one that can put it on the ballot. The commission cannot. So what we're talking about on the 4th is setting guidelines for the commission, but whatever they come back, we can accept or reject or modify. It's up to us ultimately, and those are the really important meetings where the city attorney, our attorney, everybody has to weigh in. This is the commission's role is to take a new perspective, get public input, analyze the details, and come back with some recommendations.
Which you'll see that on the timeline, which you just described. Okay, I think we're pretty much finished with this discussion. We've got the workshop set for November 4th for 3 hours, Sister Cities Room. For those of you listening in the public, if you have input on that for the creation of this and the rules established, please advise. Know that each council person will be, well, I'm assuming it's each council person until we set the rules at the workshop, but we'll be searching for members of the commission shortly. So if you have interest, please reach out to your council persons to express that interest.
It says that we're going to jointly pick alternates, but what's the process for nominating alternates?
Well, I think that's what we need to figure out,
Okay.
because I couldn't quite figure that one out. I want to leave that up to you guys to tell me.
We did 7 alternates, we could each pick one, otherwise we have to put some
Well,
names.
also I want to bring up this awareness because of the way y'all did this and how you established this. The mayor gets one alternate and council gets one alternate. That means if you lose 2 people, let's say we make the council's alternate the first one to slide in, the mayor's alternate automatically becomes a member, so that gives them one more position on the commission. Just FYI, just as awareness. So, okay.
Council?
Okay, very good. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. So let's, we'll get in touch sometime this week, and when you get that proposal done, I'll be looking forward to receiving that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Nice to meet everyone.
Hope you feel better.
You're thankful you don't have to deal with us. Councilman Maniscalco.
I'm going to leave at 5 o'clock. I have another event.
And miss this?
I'm leaving at 6.
I'm not leaving. I'm just going to sleep here.
I can read the
Okay,
thing now.
yes. Councilwoman Hurtek, you have the privilege
Yes.
of, by law, reading the next item.
Yes. So this is this is the red light camera report that I have to read out loud. Effective July 1st, a great day, my birthday, 2024, Florida Statute Section 316.0083 subsection 4 requires the results of City of Tampa red light camera program be presented annually under staff reports of a city council meeting. The report to a city council must include a written summary of the results of the red light camera program, which must be read aloud at the meeting, and also include the annual report filed with the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. The annual report from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025 is attached, and a summary is as follows. Number of notices of violations issued. Do we have a copy of this we could pop on the Elmo? Or the wolf, oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Notices of violations, here, let me, yeah. No,
Well, you got to read it.
Let me.
Oh, you have one? The officer has one.
Oh, thank you.
Ma'am, is that what you're looking at?
I appreciate it because
Yes.
a lot of people are very visual. Number of notices of violations issued, 121,431. Number of notices of violations contested, 764. Number of notices of violations upheld, 568. Number of notices of violations dismissed, 176. Number of uniform traffic citations issued, 38,644. Number of notices of violations paid, 80,781. Revenue paid to the state, $6,721,620. Revenue paid to Vera Mobility, $2,160,000. Net revenue for the city, excluding operation cost, $5,611,791. Distributed to intersection safety capital projects was $1,402,948, and distributed to the general fund was $4,208,843.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hurtek. Thank you, officer. What's your name?
Oh, they didn't put it up there? Oh, it was, okay.
Good afternoon, Council. Captain Benjamin Brown with the Special Operations Division.
Thank you. Were you just volunteered for this today?
Voluntold, sir.
Very good. Well, thank you for showing up, and this council appreciates your service.
Yes, I do have a quick question for you. Just because I think the public's going to have this question too, this does not include, well, obviously it hasn't started yet, but these numbers in the future, will they or will they not include the new school zone cameras?
The annual report will not include those numbers.
Okay.
That will be completely separate.
Wonderful. That's good news. Just so people are aware of that. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
It won't be nearly as enjoyable sitting here listening to us. So, have a good one. Okay, item number 69. Yes, go ahead. Start with your name, please.
Thank you. My name is Brenda McKenzie, Director of Workforce Partnerships with the City of Tampa.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Council. As requested, I prepared a memo outlining where we are in the formation of an Office of Returning Citizens. We're recommending that we go in a three-phased approach. The first starts from moving us from ideation to design and due diligence. The second phase of it is the actual implementation and opening of the office. And the third phase goes back to evaluation that we set up in that phase 1 to make sure that we're really achieving the objectives that we've established to really reach this population and connect them to long-term careers.
Thank you. Councilman Viera.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. McKenzie, thank you very much. We'd spoken before when I got you outside there, but this is a really, really important issue. I know the mayor and Chief Bennett have a big heart for this. Our Sheriff, Chad Chronister, also deals a lot with this issue as well, obviously. But it's an important issue, as we've discussed every year in the United States. About 650,000 people leave the prison system, and we know that within 3 years, 2/3 of them will reoffend and go back to prison. That's an abject failure for our society, for our local communities, and something that will only result in more broken families, more disrupted communities, as well as more crime. And you know, the issue of returning citizens, I think, kind of got on our wavelength, I guess, if you will, in 2018 with what then was known as Amendment 4, which sought to restore rights to returning citizens who were not sex offenders or murderers, and it passed overwhelmingly. What the legislature did with it, obviously, is a totally different issue, but it kind of got that issue on the forefront here in Florida and in our city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. And you know, we've worked. I've been able to work with organizations like our good friends at A. Brown Ministries, people like obviously Mr. Robert Blunt, who's just a wonderful individual. He's the son-in-law of the late Reverend A. Brown. He's a wonderful person. Their board member Joe Probasco, Dee Jones, when she was on their board. Now, of course, she's with our public defender, now Travis Coy, a wonderful attorney, and many other folks. Previously, we did a returning citizens ordinance on incentives for contractors. We had worked with Jewish Community Center Federation as well as Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. So we've had a lot of groups that give a lot of input on this issue. So the way that I see this is, and I think your memo kind of gets to this, and we spoke about this, which is this sets the preface or the beginning for this administration to begin this. So to tee it up for the next mayor, whoever he or she may be, to really push this through. It's important for the city of Tampa to have a spotlight on this issue, because this issue will have a spotlight on us. Again, more broken families, broken communities, higher crime if we don't deal with this issue. This issue is a safe issue. A lot of people look at this and they go, oh, returning citizens, we can't deal with this. I am not some radical, far from it. This is not an issue about being soft on crime or anything. I've always been proud to have the support of law enforcement in my career and so forth, and always support law enforcement. This is about fighting crime, restoring families, and bringing communities together if done right. For those people who want to return from incarceration and want to work hard to put food on the table for their families and be productive members of society, we ought to meet them halfway there. So I thank you for that. And if I may inquire, would it be best practice for this to perhaps have an update on it? How long do you all think you need?
I think we can give quarterly updates as we're moving along. We're moving at a good clip.
So how about we do quarterly with the consent of council to begin perhaps in March next year?
Can we do written updates?
Oh, of course. And that's a great idea, which is if it's written, I will. So if it's written and something is there, then we'll have a live thing there. So if I may, I make a motion for quarterly reports on the status of the Office of Returning Citizens to return in the first week of February 2026. Man, I can't believe we're there. And that's it, if I may.
We have a motion from Councilman Viera, a second from?
Second, I'm trying to find a date.
No, sorry.
Yeah, I'll give us a strategic pause here.
The 5th, as a written staff report.
We have a motion from Councilman Viera, a second from Councilwoman Hurtak. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you so much for your report. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Councilman.
you so much. Okay, we are moving on to item number 70. It is the one and only Brandon Campbell. He's back.
Good afternoon again, Council. Brandon Campbell, Interim
Bring
Mobility
your
Department
pillow
Director.
and just hang out with us and like
Let's-
sleep here.
How about your Superman?
I'm going to
cape?
go very fast with these
Thank you, please.
because they are
We've
available
all seen them
both
already.
on the website and
Yep.
on the on base. But just a brief overview of the resurfacing work that our team has done in the last quarter, and a couple of projects that are ongoing as well. I'm going to just go ahead and put these on the projector as I speak about them. All right, so those that were completed last quarter include the ones on the screen of Virginia Park, Woodlawn at Himes and the surrounding streets there, all the way south down to Bayshore, south of Gandy, North Boulevard, Tyson Avenue west of West Shore, and then a short portion of Rocky Point Drive, reconfiguring the lane layout there.
Mr. Campbell, how many of those projects were done in-house?
All of them had some in-house support or work done. 3 of those 6 projects, or 7 projects, no, it's 6, had some contractor support along with them. And so I believe that was just the milling portion of those 3 projects.
Thank you.
Those projects that are, actually this one's underway, I know the report is for last quarter, but the Gomez corridor is wrapping up this month. We have Azeel in the Beach Park area. I did just something of note on this. The map shows Ward as being connected all the way through north of Cleveland. We are not changing the configuration of that with this project, just in case there's any confusion about that. And also knowing that there's other work in the area south of here along West Shore and east of West Shore. We'll be mindful of the need to work around that. We have Linebaugh from Florida to the east. Yukon Street between 30th and 40th. We have another segment of Yukon that's part of the surtax funded projects that is west of here. And we have Waters as well. This, in addition to the capital projects that we've spoken about previously and that we're continuing to plan for the remainder of this fiscal year. That work totaled.
Okay, hold on one second, pause
Yes.
for a question. I've got Councilman
No,
Hurt.
he can finish.
You want to finish?
Yeah, I
Okay,
just
go
I
ahead.
have a question when he's done.
Yes, sir, thank you. I believe you have a new machine now that can
Yeah,
do
that's what I was
the
gonna
street,
Yes.
a regular street with one sweep, is that it?
That is correct. We do have a second paver. So we most recently commissioned a paver that was a replacement of one that was at the end of useful life, 15 plus years old. It is the same model as the one that we purchased earlier this year. They are a little bit more efficient, a little easier. The crews tell me they're easier to maneuver, so they should be able to perform their work with fewer breakdowns and better on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. I've had a few calls saying thank you for the city doing some paving in my neighborhood, in their neighborhood, wherever they live.
Y'all's West Tampa needed some love.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you there, and I'll get you to buy Cuban sandwich for everybody.
I will sing to them all. Councilwoman Hurtak?
What is, congrats on the new machine as well. What's the staffing required to
I don't have the exact number of crew needed for one specific paving crew, but we do have 2 separate crews that can operate simultaneously at different areas.
Okay, and
On board?
and we have,
Yes.
that was gonna be my
Yes.
next question. Do we have sufficient staffing to run
So
both machines and
We
crews?
did, I think we have a couple of vacancies still, but we've reallocated personnel within the transportation side of the operations division to make sure that we have staffing for those critical needs.
And, because I have to ask now, are paving crews dedicated to just paving, or are they being pulled off paving to do other things?
Yeah, so generally paving is all they do. I mean, the skill set.
Generally, that doesn't mean, like,
So they can build skills in other areas of similar job descriptions, and they can move from one crew to another.
to do what?
So we have like our signing, marking, and special events crew. That's one subgroup within the transportation side of the operations division. Then we have the paving crews that are their own functional area, but they can move across functional lines as needed. And
Remember, that's
So
a
then
unionized,
the
that's a
answer is
unionized
yes.
workforce, so
Okay.
that would have to
Correct.
be negotiated as well. so,
yes.
Yeah.
And that includes the people that you have with the flags that stops the traffic and everything else. They've done a wonderful job.
Yes, as needed. Thank you.
I've seen them.
Very good. Any other questions? Because he's gonna stand there for the next one too.
Ca-
Go ahead.
Cut me off if you want, but Brandon, since you have the floor, I traded emails with you. Out of the 5 north-south arteries in South Tampa, 4 of them were blocked on the same day, and you also copied me on DOT. Just on behalf of the constituents that I got lots of complaints from, and if there's any way to, and you responded to me, but if there's any way to coordinate so that people can get in and out, that would be helpful. But the other thing is, could you just take 30 seconds and explain to anybody from Sunset Park who hasn't been communicated with what's happening there?
Certainly, yes. So,
detours.
Sunset Park has been impacted some, particularly by the southbound traffic approaching our Manhattan closure for the Stormwater project. And let me back up just a second and mention that we are planning to have a community meeting next Wednesday evening. So I don't know if all the details have been finalized and invitations sent out,
Yeah, it's
but we
sent
do intend to meet with the communities, both of Virginia Park and Sunset Park. Sunset Park specifically, as drivers have approached the closure at Bay to Bay, it seems like there may have been some confusion about what the official detour is. And so we've got some people making a southbound right, and they make their way into a less navigable area. You go down Schiller, I think it is, and it's not a straight shot. So there's a bit of confusion that I think we can help to alleviate with signing adjustments that we've begun to implement and maybe can consider others. Happy to talk about whatever ideas that the community has in between now and then, but particularly
But
next
you put
Wednesday.
out some additional signs, and you're looking to potentially put out more.
Correct, yes, and truly, I mean, southbound, it would be best. Most people approaching that intersection are probably coming down Henderson before they get to Manhattan. So if they peeled off at Dale Mabry, then they're already at the official detour route when they get that far south.
And for disclosure, I was one of those that got stuck in there, and it happened that I also, just before that, got a call from a constituent that I didn't even see until I got out. And we don't want people racing through those neighborhood roads.
Right.
So thank you for your help on that.
Thank you. Okay, Councilwoman Hurtak.
That actually leads to another question, and I hate to bring up South Howard Stormwater Project again, but, you know, as we're repaving roads, and they're being, the repaved roads are being used as detours, I like to call them cut-throughs, but the detours for these types of projects, what are things that we can do temporarily to get people to slow down on these neighborhood streets that are being used as detours?
Yeah,
Is there anything
Excellent question. I will say that as we'll share more broadly with the community Wednesday, I have our Vision Zero Quick Action Team, which is the team that does neighborhood-based safety studies. They're looking specifically at Virginia Park right now because I know that's where the grid is and where we have several streets in between the closure and the official detour. So they will come back to me with some recommendations. It may be additional stop signs, and maybe speed humps or the like. I don't know exactly what those recommendations will be. There's some data collection that's taking place right now. We may have, I don't know what percentage of that data collection will be completed by Wednesday, but we'll certainly have the opportunity for additional input and additional data collection afterwards.
And I appreciate that, but I think what the community is probably going to ask for, because I would ask for, because I have the problem in my neighborhood, is before we shut down a street, if we can look at the streets that we're recommending that people go down and provide those speed calming measures before we do a detour.
Understood.
And I think that is really what the public wants and expects us to do, even again, if it's a temporary measure. I mean, if we're adding, a four-way stop because there's for 3 months, you did that in Seminole Heights, and the neighbors loved it so much that they demanded it be kept, and it was, and it hasn't impacted. I mean, it's been a really good addition. So definitely, I would be more interested in finding out ways we are doing stuff ahead of time, because all of a sudden you wake up and there's people speeding down your street,
Sure.
that's not okay. Especially for kids who are used to playing on the street because it's not a heavily traveled street. We need to be considerate of the neighbors before we start these detours, which are awful anyway, but they're needed. But what can we do to make sure the public is considered?
Brandon, let's roll right into 72 and
All right.
talk about pump stations, ditches, and inlets and ponds.
Sounds good. Do I have to introduce myself again?
Yes, before, if I may, again, at 4:30, I have a call that's going to take about 25
We
minutes.
actually, we may be out by then.
Okay,
We've only got
good.
2 more items.
Okay.
All right.
This is gonna be a while.
Is it? Oh, God.
May we, if at all possible, I had a motion that I wanted to make on something for next week. And I wanted to hear what Ms. Feely had to say about this item, which is not going to take more, I think, than 5 minutes. Is it okay if we hear that item before? And Brandon, I hate to do this to you, is that?
Brandon has a cold beer waiting at home, but I'll tell you what.
And it's not going to.
He's got a pillow over there.
Okay, here, without objection, can we flip these 2 items and hear from Ms. Feely first?
Thank you, counsel, because
Item 74.
I don't want to bounce out during that.
Good afternoon, Council. Abby Feely, Administrator for Development and Economic Opportunity. I do have a couple of slides I want to share.
And if I may ask Ms. Feely, just so that I know, because I told council a certain time, roughly how long you think you need for your presentation?
Probably 5 minutes.
That's what I thought.
It
Thank
all
you.
depends if you have some questions, or we'll just, this is the update on the $2 million of general fund that the council appropriated for homeowner hurricane assistance. And the purpose of the funds are to provide direct financial assistance for the homeowners impacted by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. As I mentioned, they're general funds, and this is really to support long-term recovery and resilience. The program priorities, what we're gonna do is we're gonna prioritize by zip code, and our goal is to provide funds to those hardest hit areas. I think what we found from the 3.2 million, and that was administered by ICF and is being finished by housing, and they should be done in the next couple weeks. Our target goal is by November 1st. We had several people who just were over the AMI. They just made a little bit too much money to meet the SHIP requirements of the funds that were in there. So we're gonna prioritize these funds by zip code: Forest Hills, Palmetto Beach, south of Gandy, in that Port Tampa area. And then also, since these are general funds, we don't have to use necessarily the HUD standards, but we want to use a reasonable standard. We're gonna go 10% above the AMI. So 10% above the 140 puts us at approximately 160,000 of income for a family of 4. We are updating for 1 family, 2 family, 3 family, 1 person, 2 person, 3 person household. So that is corrected with a maximum award of up to $30,000. Couple things on that. We still have people who already made their repairs, but were above the income level. So we are gonna use some of these funds within those hardest hit areas. So a family in Forest Hills that already repaired their home, we will reimburse. The second tranche of money will go to help make those repairs, up to $30,000. And those funds for recovery will include roof repair, replacement, HVAC systems, drywall and flooring, cabinetry and interior restoration, and also tree removal. We've had a couple people say they still have trees on their property. They cannot afford to have them taken away or cut up. So we are going to provide funds on that also. We did run into some fraud with the first program that I shared with a couple of you. Receipts that were handwritten, receipts that were forged. So in these funds, if you have not repaired your home yet, we are going to break it into 2 allocations. A first allocation that will allow you to buy the cabinetry, to get things done. And then once the work is completed and we've seen it, we'll pay you the other half. So we are trying to work to be good stewards of the funds that council so graciously gave, and ensure that they are being administered in the proper way. Here's the program process. Right now, we're looking to do a press release and launch on November 3rd, which would be followed by an application window starting on the 17th. We are going to provide both web app, you can apply online, or you can call our call line, our housing hotline, and we are going to help people through that process. We are also finalizing having people available at Hannah. If you want to come in, sit down with someone, have them work through this with you, go over what it is you're looking for funds to do, as well as go over the required paperwork. We'll have people available to provide that assistance. We'll then, as I mentioned, we're going to review and prioritize by zip code. And what our goal is, the way we work our map right now is we're open 2 days a week to take in those applications. With HHA, what we'd like to do is have the application period open Monday through Wednesday of each week, which will allow us then to work on those applications Thursday and Friday of that week. So that way we're on a rolling schedule of what's coming in and what's getting processed versus putting it open for a couple weeks and making everyone wait. This is going to be a rolling application with that prioritization of the zip codes. As I mentioned to you, the inspection and the award, and then the payments. If it's a reimbursement that did not get funded under the first program and they're still seeking reimbursement and they're meeting that elevated income level, it will be a one-time allocation. We'll go out, we'll look that they did make those repairs, they match the scope of work, we will reimburse the funds, up to $30,000. On the new repairs, as I mentioned, the 2-phase payments, up to $15,000 initial and then up to $15,000 final after it's based. But clearly it's going to be based on the scope of work that they're trying to perform. If they're only performing $18,000 worth of work, it would be a 9 and 9 type of situation. So our goal is to have all of the funds fully expended by September of next year. That is not encumbered, that's expended. So out the door, closed out, with 90% of them targeted to be done within 60 days of permit. Some of this work does require a permit, some of this work does not require a permit. We'll be happy to talk through that as people come in. So that's our strategy.
Yes,
Thank you.
Board Member Viera.
Thank you, Madam
Oh,
Chairwoman.
sorry, Councilman Viera. Wow, I'm like
It's all-
already in the CRA.
I know, right? It's all good. No, first I wanted to say to Ms. Feely, just thank you very much. I mean, you've put in so much time with first the $3 million that we got in this. You and your office have put a lot and are helping out people that need help. So thank you very much, just from the bottom of my heart. And this is important. And I read in the paper, I don't know, was it Pinellas County or St. Petersburg City government that is looking at doing this? Did you see that in the Times?
I did not.
So, because we're the only local government, municipal government, that has done this in the area, and so it's good to see that that's apparently happening. But what's important about this is that these funds are more inclusive, because the original funds blocked a lot of working class and middle class people who really got hit hard. And and I'm glad you cited the 3 areas: Forest Hills in North Tampa, Palmetto Beach. I visited out there, and I believe that's in District 5. And man, those people got hit hard, very hard. And obviously with Councilman Carlson's district, a lot of our good friends in South Tampa. So this is money that's going to be available for everyone. And I also like to give a shout out to our, acting chairwoman, Councilwoman Lynn Hurtak, because I was originally going to propose about $1 million or so. And then when Councilwoman Hurtak talked about a division of the leftover funds, she actually proposed $2 million. So I was like, hey, that's even better. So I think that's important. But the main thing is that we're a year past Milton and Helene, and people are still hurting. And a lot of people believe that government doesn't care about the middle class and the working class. And it's got to be our job to rebut that belief. And so, I'll be sending this information out on social media to our constituents, everybody who can benefit from this, because these folks really need help. And we all deal with these folks all the time, and they're still going through hell, not just the emotional hell from that trauma, but the financial, physical hell from just having this. So again, thank you very much for that.
Councilmember Miranda?
No, I want to thank you. There's a lot of people that are still trying to make it, that the monies that just don't last. It just, cost of things are enormous. I know cabinets, you put a nice cabinet in the kitchen, depends on the side of the kitchen, it's $11,000, $12,000. If you do it yourself though, you can take it to, do your own drawing and take it to people that make cabinets in Tampa, you can get it about 6,000, 7,000. So it is where you go. It depends on how you go.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
Thank you for this. I mean, people are absolutely surprised when I tell them that we are the only city who's done this in the state of Florida. And so I just want to give complete kudos to you and your crew and everything that you're doing. It's wonderful. I know that we still have a lot of money to give out, and so hopefully this will go a long way to helping more people. And it's not enough, but it's something, and we're just so grateful for your department and for you to really have fast-tracked this. It means a lot, and we're still, I mean, we're a year past, and it's still hurting so many folks. So I look forward to also sharing this. And is this information available, and where?
So right now, we're in the process of finalizing some of the website with technology and innovation with Eric Hayden's group. I know they were working really hard to have it ready in association with this presentation today. If not, I asked them at least at minimum to put up hurricane homeowner assistance and say coming soon, so people know if they're landing there and it's not quite there yet, it will be there. And then definitely by the 3rd, when the press release goes out, to let people know. And that, what we did was we gave a little time in between that press release and when we're actually going to go live. The housing hotline is always open. So if anybody has, I mean, they can call the housing hotline and we'll have people ready to assist with answering questions. But that, at least people can start thinking about what they do have outstanding, or what this money could really help them do that hasn't gotten repaired yet. I know there's a lot of people that need roofs still repaired, or like I said, the trees. The other thing is we have crisis track. Please remember, when we did recovery afterward, we went through every street in the city. We know who has had impact. So we will be doing some checks and balances. If you're in an area that we know didn't flood, I mean, clearly we're gonna know it wasn't there. So we wanna try to really be good stewards of these funds, as we know there are a lot of people that really need them. So the housing hotline, we will have people available to answer questions. That number is 813-307-5555.
307-5555.
But we will get the information up on the website very, very soon. Like I said, I think there's a placeholder right now, but based on your feedback today, we wanted to make sure you guys were good with all of this. Then we'll start to get that preliminary and the timeline up there as well.
So what I might recommend is that on that placeholder, you go ahead and put this PowerPoint and that phone number. I think that would be a great placeholder, just so we can direct people there. But thank you so much, and thank you again for all your work.
Thank you, Ms. Feely, appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
you.
Brandon Campbell, you are the,
And I think because I don't want to, I have to do one time.
And thank you.
May I make a quick motion? I did a memo on it, because my call is at 4:30, it may take 20 minutes, and we may be out by then. So would that be okay?
go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So really fast, council, Brandon sent out a motion when in November, the first week in November, we were going to have Roy Caldwood, who's a 103-year-old Buffalo soldier, originally born in Harlem. The guy still does 20 push-ups. He's out of control here with, no, he really does. It blows the mind.
Drop it, give me 20.
I can't even do 5. I was going to have a contest with him at his house this week, and his daughter said he should wait, because he already did 20 before, but he would have beat me. I don't know what's up with him. But we were also going to have General Remo Butler, who's the first African-American Special Forces general who lives here in Tampa, to talk about Veterans Day. Unfortunately, Roy he's going to go to the Caribbean with his family. He's 103. I don't get it, but he's going to go to the Caribbean, and so he was available October 30th. Which is a workshop. So what I was going to do is, number one, we take away the one on November. That saves time. I was going to move the workshop on disability housing to January 29th. So as to, we'll actually save time by doing this, but that does require a waiver of the rules. But I thought for a 103-year-old Buffalo soldier, we could waive those rules. That's all. So that's my motion, if I may. The what?
We could roll it all into one. Can't we do all that in one?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So my motion, if I may, is to move the November 6th, I think it was, gosh almighty, presentation for Veterans Day to October 30th, number one. Number two,
Let's stop there. Let's
oh,
stop there.
yes, sir, yes, that's
We
it.
have a motion, Councilman Vieira, second from Council.
And waive the rules, yes, ma'am.
All right,
Thank you.
we have a motion from Councilman Vieira, second from Councilwoman Hurtak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, ayes have it. Next.
And then as a consideration for that, on the Disability Housing Workshop, we will move it to January 29th.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Vieira, a second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed,
Thank
ayes have
you,
it.
thank you, council, including Mr. Chairman, for hearing this out of order. And Brandon, thank you for your patience.
You know, Councilman Vieira, I was sitting there watching you on that high-resolution monitor, and you are so svelte, and you've gotten so, I think you should run for higher office.
I know, right?
I mean, you're looking so good and so dignified up there. It's like, very good.
The little city of Tampa, Tallahassee, not too far off.
Yeah, very good. Okay, Mr. Campbell, we have teased you twice now.
All right, and I'll go fast. Again, Brandon Campbell, Interim Director of the Mobility Department, here to go over our stormwater maintenance report that is available on the website if you care to look at it at tampa.gov/mobility. As before, and before I get into it, I did want to say, I know Councilwoman Hurtak had some feedback about some formatting improvements that we could make. I've gone over that with my team. We've not yet been able to implement that to this, but they are on the way. So starting off, let me zoom out just a bit. Starting off again, once again with our calls for service for this calendar year. Cumulatively, we're a little bit behind the total number of calls that we've received this year as compared to last year, whereas that was not the case earlier in the year. That's indicative of the dry summer that we've had, thankfully.
I think it's because we're paving the damn road.
That too.
Okay.
So for the month of September, we only had 220 calls for service as compared to 658 from the month of September last year. I did want to highlight, we do continue to have a number of calls for our cave-ins that we're continuing to repair. That's our highest category of calls for the month of September, and we have been continuing to address those. I've got actually a good picture that I think will be helpful in visualizing what that
Can you
entails.
pause one moment?
Yes.
Just
Councilwoman Hurtak.
Can you, yeah, I know that we put in a special request, I believe it's Kimmons who was doing the cave-ins.
Yes.
How is that going financially?
So we have gotten to about the ceiling of that contract. I know that we were looking at ways to extend their work effort.
Okay.
But yeah, we've used quite a bit of it.
Okay, so even though we're still dealing with cave-ins, so we're looking now that we might need to find some more money to continue that
It's
contract?
possible, or to reallocate, or to
Okay.
use existing funds for a new contract. It's more the maximum of that contractual arrangement rather than the funding itself running out.
And about, what's the amount of, how many cave-ins have they been able to do?
I can tell you that for this month,
Oh,
they
there you go.
did 30. So that highlight, that third down highlight shows that 30 were done by the contractor, 16 were done in-house in the month of September. I can get you, I can get back to you with the cumulative number if you'd like. And I will say, you know, we had 48 calls for service on cave-ins for the month. We addressed 46. I can tease out further if needed whether any of those 48 calls were overlapping calls for the same pothole, but roughly, you know, if you look at one to the next, it appears that we are keeping up well as of now. In terms of other maintenance efforts that we completed in September, we did about 1.8 miles of ditches and about 6.8 miles of pipes. Those were scattered throughout the neighborhoods there at the top of the page. And again, they should be reflective of what you're seeing on the GIS map that we implemented here just a couple of months ago. Something else I wanted to mention, and unfortunately, I think this would be something that Councilman Vieira would have been interested in, is that we did in September do a dry run, so to speak, of a test deployment of the temporary generators that we have a contract for with Sunbelt. That went well. We did not necessarily publicize it in the moment, but we were able to hook up and connect those generators and run the pumps on generators for a brief period of time, just to verify that the setups are working and ready. Here's a couple of pictures of that test deployment. And then the last pictures that I wanted to bring, again, I mentioned, we've done 46 cave-in repairs in the month of September. Sometimes it's good to see what that actually looks like, because it's often conflated with just a simple pothole. And from the before picture, you can see that it's understandable why one might mischaracterize that or misunderstand exactly what's going on, where the repair requires a significant digging effort. So that said, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, I just want to thank you and your team again for your responsiveness to constituents. There's lots of things going on, and even I saw some indentations that I thought might be collapses, and you guys checked those out and turned out not to be, but thank you all for that. I have a constituent that asked a question, so I'm just going to ask it as they asked. This is not my question, but the constituent said that a year ago that they checked and there were either no manuals for stormwater maintenance or not updated manuals for stormwater maintenance. And the question is, are there now updated stormwater maintenance manuals in place for staff?
So we have standard operating procedures. There's an endless opportunity to update, expand, codify things that are understood but maybe not written down. We do have a set of standard operating procedures. I see updates to those come across my desk at least every other week.
And are all those published on?
I'd have to, so I know that we are uploading those to a common database. I'm not sure how accessible those are, where those might be available for.
Just a recommendation, considering that we have constituents now that are digging into the bond records and all that, the more we can make it just accessible online so they don't have to pull public records, the better. And I think it'll make all of us look good for being transparent. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hurtak.
Thank you. I did want to, we've been doing these monthly reports for a year now, and while these reports will still continue to be available on the website, staff has asked that we kind of close out having these monthly reports. So I do have a motion about that. However, I want to say that I will be working with Stormwater to make the information easier to find and easier to understand. And if you'd like, after we finish and have like a draft of it, I can bring it to council under old business so we all get a chance to look at it and comment on it. But now that I'm over mobility, there's just like, I'm sorry, you're just like, Brad had me there all the time, and now it's you, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna.
I'm not. Hey, Lynn, streetcar.
Bus. So I just wanted to let people know that we're still working on the information, and as Mr. Campbell alluded to earlier, we're kind of working on a way to make it clearer, easier for folks to understand. So I move to discontinue the monthly stormwater maintenance reports. The monthly information will still be found at www.tampa.gov/mobility/stormwater. I will be working with the Stormwater Department to make the information easier to find and understand, and we'll bring it back to council during old business when we have a working draft.
Thank you. We have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak, a second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Yes, there is more.
But wait, there's more.
I don't know if any of you, well, all of you got it. Ms. Kopesky basically gave us a
Good job.
whole outline of how funding is being spent, because this is a question that we keep getting ad nauseum. And so I didn't know, Ms. Kopesky, if you have a copy of this and might want to walk through it a little bit with us. And,
Can we release Brandon so we can go?
yeah,
back-
yeah,
back to
yeah.
that?
I mean, I mean, unless Brandon, we
Does
might
anybody-
have questions.
Does
I don't-
anybody else have any questions for Brandon? I mean, I know it's like getting late in the day, so Brandon, thank you so much.
Oh, here,
Good job.
do you just want mine?
Unless you would like to, you can come up and sit with us if you'd like. Okay, bye, bye.
Here. I took the staples out for you.
Okay, picking up the rear here.
Start with your name.
Yep, Hager Kopesky, City Council Budget Analyst. So yes, thanks for the tee up. So I don't know if we really want to go through everything, but we know that there's a lot of interest in trying to see where the results end up after the year closes. It's obviously still in process, but materially finished, and so that's why I wanted to give a kind of a brief overview on how it wrapped up. So taken as a whole, given all of the moves that were made through the year, and if you remember, we started the year with a budget of a 2.5 million component of the general fund funding stormwater maintenance. And then throughout the year, you approved a $500,000 piece, and then later again another $3 million through the excess surplus from '24. So with all the movement, the actual assessment results from, again, the citizens, and then the expenses inclusive of the 1.25 for Kimmons, and I think it's about 400 for the Flowtech pipe cleaning. All of that being said, it appears like we will essentially have around a 400,000 surplus in stormwater maintenance. Again, what happens with that? That rolls into the fund itself and will carry over into 2026. You want me to just hit the top of the trees? Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. So, in terms of, I talked about that. So in terms of personnel, again, now this is going to show both fiscal 25 preliminarily and fiscal 26. So really just the takeaway here is I know there had been some dialogue around personnel expenses are a good portion of the stormwater maintenance. There had been some discussions about what the headcount are that are included. So the primary point, and I know this is small for you in the background, but it was intended to just do a walk forward to make sure people understand that there were 11 positions moved out, which took a large amount of salary dollars out. There were some adjustments done to, recognize changes in certain roles, and then there were two new additional positions put in. Okay. And then we get a lot of questions in terms of just expense. The biggest line items, I know this is very small. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. Whew. There we go. So maintenance and repairs, when Brandon talks about all these vendors, mowing, Kimmons doing the cave-in repairs, hauling things between one place and the other, that's all hitting the repairs and maintenance line. The increase you see in here, the 4.8 and 25, that's a lot of those the two emergency POs that happened. We have some of that rolling over into 26, but I think as we continue to dialogue and he continues to work through kind of what their priorities are, we'll have a dialogue around whether the existing 3.7 that we have in the budget is going to be achievable. Again, not saying it isn't, just saying that's an ongoing discussion. The second largest item is when you see the motor pool, that's where the fuel and the repairs to the vehicles they use. That was basically $1 million in 25. A little bit of a step down in terms of what's in the budget for that to 700,000. We'll keep our eye on that. We've talked about the vehicles. We have some aged vehicles, right? So that's going to continue to be an area to watch. Again, I don't want to stay longer on this than you guys need to. So I think, there's a mention of two things, right? You've got the improvement assessment, which is a much larger master plan. Then you have a consultant they're using to help define where do our maintenance levels, our service levels, where do they really need to be adjusted, and what would that what would the result of that be financially? So that work is supposed to be coming back closer to the February timeframe. Again, only mentioning that because there is a professional service element that's rolling into 26 to try to help identify those things. All right, so again, when we talk about fund balance, we have to continue to remember this whole deck was around service. I know today we had quite a bit of dialogue around improvement. Both of those highly relevant, but this entire presentation is on maintenance. So really the headline here is, for those that don't kind of know how the flow of the fund would work, I just wanted to show how we started the balance in 24 at 4.5 million. It takes into account all the things that we would have seen on those previous pages: salary, capital spending, the inflow of the revenues themselves, and it works its way down, through the period. So, in the very beginning, I talked about the fact that we added 400,000 to fiscal 25. So in the middle column, essentially, it's all the detail, and then a result of the increase of 400,000, which would get us to 4.3 million. If we perform to budget for fiscal 26, meaning if the revenues come in as we expect, and we are able to maintain the general fund contributions that were in the budget, as well as the actual expense spending, all of that taken under consideration would require consumption of this fund and would therefore put the maintenance service, the stormwater service fund balance slightly under $1 million. So that was really the main punchline on this slide. Yeah, right. Okay. And then there was some discussion when Brandon was here about Kimmons and the work they did on the cave-ins. So I know that his team does some of the work internally, but this is dedicated to that 1.25 million that we spent with them. So here, they did utilize all of that between, I think it was June and September. There were 95 cave-ins that were completed, again, all externally by this contractor. And I wanted to just give a brief view of the top 10 and some of the addresses and the districts where those were done. And then just taken overall, you can see the distribution of the location where these were performed in the districts in total. And on a similar basis, Flowtech was the partner that is the partner that is helping inspect and clean out the storm pipes. And so they have about 750,000 that's been approved to do that. They've gone through about half of it. The half has been performed in these general areas. And really the call outs on the side are just to remind people, when we were listening to the budget workshop, they're helping do this, but we have a TV truck that's being spec'd out to be acquired. Hopefully that will be in place by late spring of 26. And then the vacuum trucks themselves, we have 5 today. Those will be retired when the new 3 that are being leased arrive in January. So all of those new assets are going to help to attend to some of these ongoing service requirements that have required.
Before you go off of this,
Yeah.
I just want to state that the 5, technically all 5 are not in use right now. From my understanding, 2 are on like are extra for when one of the 3 breaks down. So we're not actually going down. We're actually going to be able to have 3
constantly in use.
They're constantly in use. So I just wanted to clarify that record. But then after you sent this out, I did have a question about hours versus linear feet of pipe.
Yes.
And I don't know, that's probably still outstanding.
Yes. So, and this is one of those items where, as I work with Brandon's team, we have to understand kind of how the data comes to them. So this was very much an invoice view where they were billing the time they spent at these locations, but there is more data available at more of the linear feet level. I think if we choose to continue to have discussions around what we're actually getting done, the more relevant basis for measure would be the linear feet. Hours, you can spend whatever time you want, but I did not have time to work with him on that to get it in place for this particular slide. But yeah, I think that's just more relevant for people to understand what distance you're actually going through and accomplishing. Okay. So I'm gonna put this up again. We did share it at the workshop. So this is, all right, so this is the list of the specific types of repairs and maintenance. The biggest being the mowing and, which includes the ditches, the ponds, and the lots. That's by far the largest piece. And then, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, we had a reso come through to approve, it's basically the outfalls, and there was a lot of discussion about the shells and things growing on that. So outfall maintenance is right in the center of the page. That's probably one that we're gonna just keep our eye on, because I think the department's been pretty honest about the fact that although we put in a certain level of funding here, just based on what they're trying to accomplish after the hurricane and where they fell behind, we'll probably have a little bit more there. So, we'll just try to keep this updated to understand where the trends are and what we're actually spending. But there is a step down from 4.8 to 3.7. And right now, presumably, we were able to catch up with some of those emergency POs, but that's really something we'll have to continue to have a discussion with Brandon about. I mean, I do rely on them to initiate if there's any risks that are popping up to need to be addressed with additional funding. And then last, just to remind folks, they often wonder like what's really in the inventory. And so, oh goodness, there we go. So I think people have become very educated on a lot of the equipment, but so what you can see really from this slide is that we are trying to chip away at replacing some of the aged items, and we do have a fair amount. I mean, you see the average age compared to the useful life, and we're really making some headway with the sweepers, more recently with the 3 vacuum trucks, but we've still got some work to do. And then, as a reminder for folks, there's $3.3 million in the 26, again, stormwater maintenance capital. So this is again for the vehicle-related items. So these are the particular priorities that the department has identified, and actually, Brian updated me that the difference between the 3.3 and the 1.6 is the fact that those 3 leased vacuum trucks, when they're available, they will actually show, and they are approximately 1.6 million. So they will, it looks to be that they will consume their entire capital this year. Okay, any questions?
Councilwoman Hurtak.
I just want to say thank you for doing this. I think this is a really beneficial thing that we keep getting asked about. So I want to say thank you. I don't know if anybody else wants any possible changes to this.
No,
or
I think it was outstanding, and I think the feedback was a really good product, and I think it was very useful and easy to digest, and very applicable to the issues, as Councilman Hortek said, that of the questions that we're always asked, and issues that council, and of course, some of the points of our budget process of seeing what we push for, how it's going to be applied, and then it's a great tool to track it as we go forward, to see that the justification behind what we're pushing for the budget actually comes to fruition. So.
And I do want to say that as we go forward, one of the things we talked about, I believe, was stormwater, because I have quite a few plates spinning, is that possibly making a stormwater update every 6 months. And maybe with that, we could have Ms. Kopesky update us on the financials to go along with it, just so we keep our eye on that.
That was really the goal. I feel like I was just trying to complement what comes from the staff, which has been very much focused on visual items and immediate things that are being actioned on a work order basis, and service level items. But I think pairing that with something that is financial is just going to help tie those things together. So if it's of interest to the group, I'm certainly able to update that when they have their semi-annual.
But what I'm saying is this, I mean, I found this useful. Is this something that we would like Ms. Kopesky to do for other items going?
I think just file it away, and maybe as things come up.
No, I'm not talking about just the stormwater, but maybe, as we're looking at South Howard, getting her involved in some of that financial work as well. But again, we can't talk any other time.
I think what we bring forward is now understanding that this special assessment, what that fund balance is. I mean, I don't know how much work there is if there's no money.
And that's why I think it's important to have this discussion with her now. I want to work on a motion about that. I wasn't able to finish it during lunch today, but if it's okay with you all, I can I can work with her and Mr. O'Hara on getting a motion together for next week that we could then.
I think that would be timely. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do that.
That would be good. Very good. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, well, that concludes our regular business for today. So new business, Councilman Carlson.
I think we should create an ordinance that prohibits the use of stormwater personnel or money for parades. So I don't know what date we can put on, but I would make a motion to have city staff come back with a draft ordinance that would prohibit the use of stormwater tax money or personnel to be used on parades or events.
You know, I get it, but managing resources and, you know, a lot of the stuff becomes a shuffle, like if they're, where the money, how they're being paid, where they're being paid. Is there work to be done is there work to be done? If not them, who, how much is it gonna cost? I mean, it really, it's definitely a management allocation of resource issue.
Or it's a budget issue.
Well, it's a budget issue too. Yeah, I mean, but I get, and you get it as a business owner of allocating resources of your personnel and the people who have expertise.
Well, the first thing is on parades, with the few exceptions of city parades, that whoever's doing the parade should be paying for these things.
Well, let me ask you this though. So let's just say Gasparilla. It's an event that only happens once a year. You're not going to hire staff to do it. So but again, even contract though, I mean, you might be paying 3 times more than what we're paying for our staff to do it.
But just like they reimburse us for TPD and fire, they need to reimburse us for other staff.
In theory, I think they do that.
But it's not being applied back apparently.
In kind.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's the question to ask.
Well, how about if I just put on the agenda a discussion about
allocation of
discussion
about special events?
About limiting the allocation of resources in the stormwater budgets.
Second.
Yeah, I mean, because we have a motion and we have a second, so still continue discussion. Councilwoman Hurtak.
So, I mean, again, Haker sent us out a list of the events, and I'll be honest, I had no idea we had this many events. But my issue is that these events are during the dry season when we really need our stormwater teams to be out doing the work. That's the problem. If this was done, because I look at an allocation of resources as well, but you know, maybe it's, and I just don't know when they have downtime. You know, we're asking them to prepare as best they can during the dry season. And then during the rainy season, they're there to fix things, or they're there to keep cleaning things out as we get more debris. I don't know when they have a moment's rest. We are still asking these crews to work 6 days a week. Still. That's not okay.
The other thing is when the last stormwater tax was passed, and I can show you all the video of it, if you look at the news reports, the public was promised that there would be maintenance every 7 years. And it's obvious that in most places in South Tampa, maintenance was not done until and the public started raising hell just a few months ago. And then the mayor sent us nasty grams acting as if it had been done the last 10 years. But we know from photographic and video evidence, and now from the inspections that the stormwater team has been doing, I don't know why the mayor's turning this into a political issue. It is a fact. The last administration did not use the stormwater money for maintenance. Part of this administration did not use stormwater money for maintenance, and that's what the money was for. And now we know that part of it was that apparently was diverted for parades. And how can we look people? I have all these neighborhoods in South Tampa that they're on to me constantly. Why can't you fix my street? Why can't you fix my street? And the staff says, we'd love to, but there's no money, there's no resources. Why can't you maintain our ditches? You know, we had one guy that went on video because he had to dig his own ditch out. And we don't have the resources. Okay, it's not the staff's problem. The administration tried to turn it into a criticism against staff. It's not the staff's issue. It's an allocation of resources. But it appears that the resources were misallocated. So to be fair to the public and all the people that flooded, we should have a discussion about it.
Councilman,
I think we have to have a much further discussion, much deeper discussion. What's the cost? What's the cost of doing it outside? What are you gonna do with the children's parade? Tell little babies you can't walk on the street? And those are the same people that don't have the streets paved. So, I mean, it gets much voluminous, much more than what we're talking on the surface. And this should be detailed and a scripted way, just like we're doing in finance and other areas. Find out what the cost is, find out what the applicant applying for, maybe they can contribute, I don't know. But it's gotta be done. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it from the ground up for everybody. The children's parade, the gay parade, the night parade, every parade. Day, night, all of them together. You just can't pick one and another one. You gotta do them all together, every single one of them.
well, the other thing is, we only have X number of dollars.
I understand
So
that.
if you spend, well, like you say, if we contract out, if let's say it costs 3 times more to contract out, well, that money's gotta come from somewhere.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Well, but-
I'm not disagreeing with either one of
I
you,
don't know
but
that-
you gotta have some text to look at.
But also understand
what
that
does it do for the
there's
finances of the city
economic
also?
things, there's political things about certain events, there's, I mean, it's the 4th of July parade, who's, you know, 4th of July fireworks, I mean, look at some of those events, they're not profit events, I mean,
I agree with you, they're not profitable.
yeah.
Can we, I didn't pick a date because I don't know which date we could put it on, but can we? Huh?
December 4th. is
December
good.
4th?
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
So just a discussion about whether or not we should allow stormwater money and staff to be used on parades and events and what the alternatives might be.
Well, I just think staff, I mean, allocation of resources and staff for special events, I mean, that's, what do you?
So, what do we want to have in preparation for that? Do we want Ms. Kopesky to put something together for us? What do we want from staff? What do we want? We don't just want to have discussion, we need to have some data.
Councilman Miranda?
And be mindful, it might be super hockey team that wins the NFL, the hockey, and or you're gonna do people, don't tell them to show up to work, the city employees, same thing in baseball and football, what are you gonna do then? Who's gonna pay for all that? We've been paying for it, I guess. It's a city thing, it's a, lift up your feeling for your own city.
Yeah, I think it's
There's a value to parades
right.
that people attend and go see it. It's a night out, period.
Yeah.
It's like going to the park.
But we
It's
have
the
to
same
be
thing
able
as
to
going to the
afford
park.
My point is that probably for the bond covenants, we're not allowed to do that. But for these enterprise funds, there probably are some restrictions. And so it's probably gray as to whether we, or at best as whether we can.
There's a value-
Let's have this discussion on December 4th.
Yeah, and one last statement. There's a value to the people who have very little to have a lot of fun on that day for very little money. And that's gotta be considered too.
I agree. I think it should just come out of a different bucket.
If I can.
Well, we control the buckets.
Yeah,
That's why I want to make sure it's not, because the stormwater tax is an extra tax that was very controversial.
But you gotta move money from somewhere else to pay for it.
Did we get a second or not?
Yes, I seconded, but I
This was discussion. We had a motion and a second.
I
We had a
didn't catch,
discussion.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Or an event?
And who is that discussion with? Just
That's
amongst council?
yeah.
Are you expecting no discussion or information from staff or recommendation from legal or anything like that?
That's what I asked for.
Well, that's what I'm
Well,
asking,
why don't we
because,
ask the chief
because
of
what's gonna
staff?
you are having the discussion right now.
Yeah. Why
So
don't
the
we ask
question
the
is, do you
chief
wanna
of
just
staff
continue it?
to do it because it's overall, I mean, we need to look at it from a citywide perspective.
So Chief of Staff, and then I'm gonna ask that Ms. Kopesky also work maybe with Mr. O'Hara to get the financials on what we spend on parades. Do you have an idea, Ms. Kopesky, about what we could look at? I mean,
What's
Kapowski City
reimbursed?
Council budgeting list, I think part of what I wanted to highlight in that the memo was that right now, we just need to understand what tools do they use or are available that allow them to measure? So for you to have information that says, today on average, we spend X with extra duty, which, you know, I know that's one bucket that's probably fairly easy to quantify, but if you pull from transportation, if you pull from stormwater, 10, 12, however many times through the year, is there something that Mr. Rohara and I can look at to even bring back and say, this is version A, and this would be an external option, you know?
Okay.
So right now, I don't know the answer to that, but we could certainly ask and see what's available.
But just remember, these special events, it's across all city resources, our police, our fire. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just limited to one department. All of our administrative people, I mean, the special events cut across every budget line.
Yes, but so many people were impacted by stormwater.
People are shot. I mean, our police
Yeah.
and fire, I mean,
Well,
things burn down.
but that's overtime.
Yeah.
The officers who are doing most of these parades, that's overtime.
Some, I mean, probably most, but I mean,
Yeah.
not all.
But we're not doing overtime for stormwater
Listen,
people, just saying.
We pay $250,000 in fire and police in one stadium somewhere.
Yeah.
For the last 30 years. We're gonna cut that out? Same thing as this.
But it's not, because that's
But-
overtime.
So we are definitely in, I'm gonna say this discussion is reached into what the conversation should be on
Yes.
December 4th.
Okay.
So I'm gonna call the question. We have a motion to have this discussion. Did you include that, Chief of Staff? Is that what you wanted?
I want to make an amendment to add Chief of Staff, Ms. Kopesky, Finance, and any other staff that need to.
Okay. So we have a motion, and can we take that as a friendly motion?
Yes, I accept.
We have a motion from Councilman Carlson, a second from Councilwoman Hurtak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. December 4th schedule.
Thank you. That's it.
Anything else, sir? Okay. Councilwoman Hurtak.
I have a couple. I made a motion for staff to return with the draft ordinance regarding the lowering the sidewalk in lieu fee for hurricane damaged homes. Staff has requested a little more time, so it was supposed to be on November 6th, our next regular meeting, but I'm asking to continue it from November 6th to November 20th.
Second?
November 20th is the 11 o'clock day.
Yeah, that's the 11 o'clock day.
December 4th?
My only thing is,
There's no other choice.
Yeah.
There's-
Thanksgiving in between.
yeah, but also these people, we really want to try to get this done, and unfortunately,
Schedule, it is what it is.
yeah, okay, well, I mean,
December 4th I can support. I mean, that's
okay,
close.
okay, December 4th.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak, a second from?
Second.
Second from Councilman Maniscalco. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
And because last year's was so useful, looking at the budget surplus from 2024, we're going to do it again. So I'm asking for staff to present an in-person report, and I have talked to Mr. O'Hara about this and Ms. Kopesky, staff to present an in-person report on December 18th, 2025, to include the following data related to the general fund, stormwater service fund, and each enterprise fund. And I have this written. So, preliminary revenue for fiscal year 25 by major and minor category for the FY25 adopted budget, FY25 preliminary year end, and the variance between the two. Next, preliminary expenses for FY25 by major and minor category for the FY25 adopted budget, FY25 preliminary year end, and the variance between the two. Next, preliminary change in fund balance from October 1, 2024 to September 30th, 2025. Schedules to include any reserves or other commitments identified to arrive at the actual unallocated balance.
Second.
Next, a detail of general fund variance by department for personnel expense and other operating expense. And finally, a list of financial resolutions from September 1st, 2025 to November 30th, 2025 that had an impact on the general fund FY25 budget. Additionally, asking finance staff to work with Ms. Kopesky on this.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak, a second from Councilman Rand. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank
That's
yes, and I will, like I said earlier, I'm going to work on that motion about stormwater bonds.
Thank you. Councilman Maniscalco, new business? Councilman Miranda?
I have one, sir. I'd like to make a motion to give an off-site accommodation at the West Tampa Chamber Award Gala to honor the 100th year anniversary of the annexation of West Tampa into Tampa, and also honoring the Woman of the Year, Audrey Parrish, the Man of the Year, Leroy Moore, and the George Guida Legacy Award to Bob Henriquez.
Thanks. We have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from? A second from Councilwoman Hurtak. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. My only business would be, it's kind of piggybacking what Councilwoman Hurtak did with the mobility report. We definitely do still have I think a need to try to alleviate some of the burden on some of the staff. For reports, just for the sake of reports, I would appreciate if you have anything recurring on the schedule, that there is nothing, that is not something that is value added, that maybe we're just report for the sake of report. Councilwoman Hurtak.
Yes, and actually, after we finish stormwater, we're gonna move on to paving and sidewalks.
Okay.
And the idea then is to make all of those every 6 months. And so, we're gonna come up with a plan, so that they're reported to us every 6 months, but they're still available on the website.
Okay.
So I'm working on that to take that sort of stuff off.
So look at what we have already, and if there's things that really we've exhausted, are no longer required, you think what is the value added compared to the amount of time staff has to spend doing it? If we could entertain removing those from the schedule, I think the staff would very much appreciate that. And secondly, I think that when we see items, it seems weird to me, these items like for council people that have not been on council for a decade, for their names to continue to show up there. And I think that's one of those things we should look at. Are those reports, or are those things these recurring things, are they still needed? So I would suggest if a report has a name of someone that is no longer on council, either somebody adopt that and reintroduce that, and we remove it from the schedule, we remove it from the calendar of the current council persons, or we eliminate it completely.
Yeah, I'll just go and do my own research. I mean, I know there's council members that got elected in the 80s whose names still come up.
Yeah.
There's Saul Sena, there's Mulhorn, there's
Right.
Dingfelder. I mean, there's all over, but I'll go through and just, pass agendas and I'll just, do you want a list by a certain time?
Yeah, that'd be great. I would just bring back a motion to remove those if we can, or to reintroduce them under current council members' names, so if it's something that's still needed.
All right, I'll just do my own research
Okay.
and then,
Well, we'll hand that off to you, Councilman Maniscalco.
All right, but before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year, yeah.
All right.
I will tell you, I was gonna take on, the workshop session about the, large format digital media from Councilwoman Henderson. But we're gonna talk about that next week, so
Okay, good.
but I'm happy to continue that for her.
Okay, Councilman Carlson.
I like seeing the names of the former city council.
Well, I mean,
if it's still a relevant topic.
But it's interesting, but I think that it's a way for us to at least understand, somebody look at it and make sure that it's not dated, it's something that is relevant, something that we bring forward, and I think it's an opportunity for us to review it now and keep it alive or kill it if it needs to be killed. Okay, that's all I had. A motion to receive and file from Councilman Maniscalco, second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We're adjourned.
And we'll adjust to meet that. This is section 2780, the application of variance power, and the 5 hardship criteria. And I'm available for any comments, questions, or concerns.
Did you say beer box?
What was that?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Meter box.
Thank you.
Meter box.